Hi, I'm Venus Has Risen, or just call me Venus. Welcome to my blog, and if you are watching this, you are either watching it via my YouTube channel, or you are on my phantasmal blog website that I made using Google Sites. No, I'm not promoting Google Sites, it is just the tool I use to make my blog site. And it is very easy, very fun to use. And I am very expressive. So today, instead of typing out the very long articles I've been typing out, I decided to try my hand at a video blog. I have done some video recordings before, if you see on my YouTube channel. I've done like a crochet video. I also did like my W unboxing video. I'm trying to think of what else. It's been a very long while since I've recorded. And just so I don't forget anything, I have my list of side quests today. Yes, I call my task list side quest, because why wouldn't I? So, to update you, I am on day 4 of a 100-day drawing art challenge. Now, the first 3 days of that challenge, I have been using an app to give me a drawing prompt. And the first day, it was really easy. Well, okay, scrap that. I say easy. It was mentally more manageable, because I knew what a pop star looked like. And thanks to my dinosaur-loving husband, I know a lot of dinosaurs. So I knew what kind of dinosaur I wanted. Not so much about pop stars, however, I do like some K-pop. I remember a lot of the like early 2000 pop stars like Britney Spears and Hannah Montana and all that. And Pinterest is a wonderful, wonderful tool. So I made a Pinterest board for my daily challenge. And each day has its own section. The second day was a little more hard, but actually I enjoy doing it a little more than the first one. The second day was draw the monster of Frankenstein as a Disney princess. I did not finish that one. But I also took my time on it a little bit more. I watched a lot more videos for drawing than I did the first one. And I did a lot of design changes with the dress, because I wanted it to look like gravity was actually affecting the folds of the dress and the creases and all that. So I didn't finish the face or the hair. I didn't finish the shading on the legs. She doesn't even have hands or shoes. She has feet but no toes. And I didn't even get a chance to give her like the bolts and the scars and all that. So I wouldn't call that one a fail, because I learned a lot from it. The next one, yesterday's challenge, I will call a fail. And it's not because, well, partially because of the prompt, but also partially yesterday was a weird day. I got stuck doing something for 6 hours that I only anticipated would only take me 2. And not my fault, I was lied to. But I digress. Yesterday's prompt was to take the character Lord Voldemort from Harry Potter. Yes, most of us know what the series Harry Potter is. Spoiler, Lord Voldemort is the essential bad guy throughout the entire series. And the prompt was to draw him as a Pokemon. This is where I ran into the most trouble. And the reason for this is I could not decide because the man has no nose. He is flat. He has slits like a snake. So he's already very snake-like. His imagery throughout the series, he always has a snake named Nagini, or however you say her name, with him. He can literally speak to snakes. He is the direct descendant of Salvador Slytherin. And I know I butchered that name so bad. So I was like, do I stick with the snake imagery, or do I try to turn him into a different type of Pokemon? And that's where things got weird. And if you visit my blog, I have the Pinterest board linked, and you can see the section, and you can see all the images I tagged, and you can even see the collage board I made out of the images from that board. I was leaning more towards a Hydra. And I actually got I haven't uploaded the image yet, because even if it's not complete, I'm still going to upload it just so I can visually see my progress later. But I got the face done. And then that's where I ran into, how the heck do I do the body? Because while I was doing the face, the way the head was shaped and stuff, I was like, you know, this would be freaking terrifying on the body of a bat. And then I was like, do I do a bat or a Hydra? Because if you imagine a Hydra with like a humanoid looking head that can talk, that's terrifying. Even if it doesn't have a nose, that's still terrifying. And then if I did a Hydra, do I just do a long ropey body coiled like an actual snake? Or do I do like the Herculean Hydra that has like the body of a lizard with legs? Or do I do my bad idea? And so it got to be late last night while I was still shading the face, and I kept going back and forth. And I was like, there's no way I'm finishing this tonight. So I call that a failure, because I stopped mentally before I even stopped physically. And I was like, these prompts are getting... They're already weird, but they're kind of... They're not teaching me what I'm wanting to learn, is part of the problem. Which, there's a lot I want to learn. I want to learn how to do webtoons. I want to learn how to design art for video games. I want to do art for book covers. And I want to do an animated series. You're looking at me and you're probably thinking, just pick one. No. My brain says I can do it all. The problem is, which one do I do? So today I'm going to probably try to start a mini project of those. You would think the book cover would be the one I'd go for, since I already have one that is a work in progress for an isekai book that I'm currently working on, which I have a picture somewhere on my blog of my current progress on that. I've only written half of chapter 2. I've finished chapter 1, but only half of chapter 2. And then I got writer's block, so then I started working on the book cover, and then I didn't like how I was doing the book cover, so I stopped. And that was my last art project, and that was 3 months ago. And then I came back 4 days ago and started this art challenge. Which yesterday I did edit my blog, so it has a second page at the top, which is kind of hard to see because of my fancy page, but it's it says sources I use. a lot of the videos that I have been watching for art and different things are on that page. And you can click the link and it takes you to the person who made that video's like page. And I have a little disclaimer that says I don't own any of that. I just use it as a resource. Side quest, let's see. Oh yeah. So, going from my failure yesterday to unwind before bed, I made the mistake of going on YouTube and watching more art drawing videos. Now, currently the only art program that I use is Microsoft Autodesk Sketchbook, because it's very beginner user friendly. It's very scaled down. It doesn't have all the extra stuff that the fancy stuff like Club Studio or Procreate have. But that's also a downside because you are very limited to what you can create. Now, you're probably like thinking, well, I mean, your art's not that great. Why would you need all the bells and whistles when you don't have the foundations down? Eventually, I would like to upgrade from Sketchbook to Krita. I know that's weird because I paid for Sketchbook and Krita is free. But Krita has all the bells and whistles. However, for someone like me, it is very overwhelming, even with all the tutorial videos. If I don't have someone sitting there right next to me going, click here, and this is how you do it, it's a little brain no connect dots. But while watching a tutorial video on how to create webtoons on Krita, I also ran into a couple other videos. There are several videos about this website program called Snaptoons, and it looks like it's either a Korean or Japanese website. I'd have to go back and look at the characters to tell you. I know the Korean alphabet. I don't know most of the Japanese. Only reason I would even know. And I could be wrong. It could be Chinese, because I don't know Chinese. Or one of the other plethora of the other side of the world non-Latin based language characters. That's the most PC way I can explain that. And what it does is it pulls a like 3D scene or a picture from somewhere. I haven't figured that out. I know they have like already made assets and stuff that you can either purchase or somewhere free and stuff. And you can plug it in. And then you can mess with the light source and it changes all the colors naturally. To help you with like screenshots or whatever. And you can take a screenshot and you can like get the line work and sketch and everything. Well, I was going to mess with that yesterday and I couldn't figure it out for the life of me because they have like 2 different download files and there's like 4 different videos I could have watched, but at that point it was like 11 at night. And then I stumbled across another video. This girl plays The Sims. I love The Sims. But she used The Sims for an idea that I never even thought of. For like learning art or you know how yesterday I called the Sketch Me website a cheat because you can pose the model and then sketch it to get like your form and position and all that you want before you add all the details to your character. She did the same thing but with a screenshot of a room she built inside The Sims. And I thought that was so creative because she didn't just straight like trace everything. She got the furniture she wanted, and then she went through and she drew in the rest of the details of the scene and then added lighting and color and everything else. And I was like 3/4 of what was in her finished product was not what she got from Sims. But she started with Sims and then added to it, and it looked like if I had not watched the video from start to finish, I would have never known she started by taking a scene she built in Sims. And then I got to thinking about it, I was like, I could do that with literally any game that has a good art scene. And then just tweak the details enough that it's not the same. Now, I'm not saying pass a video game artist's art is your own. I'm saying, what am I saying? I am saying use it to set up your own scene. So if I was to take a picture of a car outside, and I fine line sketched it and everything else, removed the picture of the car and kept my own line work that I put over that picture. If I just got the line work of the car, nothing else, and then I added to it rust spots, cracks in the windshield, if I altered the lines of the grill to where it was dented and battered, it's no longer what it was. You no longer see the picture that I used to get to that point. You now see a battered, banged up car. 2 different cars. I just went a different way about getting it. And I'm not saying I plan on doing that forever. I'm saying to learn to train my hands to be able to do what I want. Tracing is a good tool for repetition. Once you get used to tracing certain lines a certain way, certain things, certain character designs a certain way, you take away the thing that you're tracing. It may take you a minute to connect A to B, B to C, but compared to trying to do it offhand without practicing tracing first, it cuts the learning curve time in half, in my opinion. And I say this because when I was a kid, I used to try to free draw. Any anime character I saw, and it never, my proportions were awful. And then I just started tracing, the covers of the manga books, what have you. I'd get print-offs of this scene or that scene, and I'd spend hours tracing. And then somebody asked me, I think it was an art teacher, she asked the class to draw something on the table. And I drew it, and it actually looked halfway decent compared to an attempt I want to say 3 months prior. Because we did a lot of different crazy art exercises. So I want to do something with that knowledge. And instead of doing crazy prompts that, yes, I can research how to do them to where they look good, and then I run out of time. And I looked back at the rules of my crazy 100-day drawing challenge. It does not say that has to be those prompts. And it does not say I cannot choose to do the same project over a span of several days. As long as I am submitting what I currently have before midnight, we are good. And I am the only one holding myself to this crazy challenge. I have some friends in the Discord that are in the same art channel as me, and they were interested when I first proposed it, but I think I kind of lost them because They didn't realize like how far gone into the idea I was until like day 3. So with that in mind, of the book cover, the webtoon, the animated series, and video game art, I already said I didn't want to do a book cover. Video game art is a little hard to do for what I am currently capable of doing. And along the same lines of video game art, I would also like to redo my VTuber model that I still haven't even rigged, which is why I'm not VTubing and I'm just straight playing when I play. So that's also on hold. I am also in no way, shape, or form capable of doing an animated series. Actually, that is a lie. I am capable of small animations. I have, if you check out my blog, there's a little gif of a brown bear running. I did that last year when I was trying to design a little bear video game. And then I gave up halfway through the project. You see my problem. So this year I am trying to push myself to, if I start a project, I'm going to finish it to the end. Even if the parameters of that project change, as long as I finish that project. And I am constantly getting notifications on my computer. Excuse me. So, that is my goal. So with that in mind, I have decided I want to attempt a webtoon. And yeah, I'm still on the changing plans part of my side quest. Put that aside so I don't keep looking at it. I'm going to attempt a webtoon. Specifically, I want to attempt one chapter of a webtoon to even see if it is doable. I'm not going to make any promises about keeping up with the webtoon or even posting it on like Tapas or Webtoons or anything like that. I just want to see if I'm even capable at this point with the current knowledge I have, the current skills I have. I want to see what I can do. And with that in mind, I am dusting off this little doozy. Yes, it's promotion time. This is Secrets and Tea by me, Venus Whitehurst. Now you're probably wondering why I'm bringing this out and what this has to do with the webtoon. I wrote this book 2 years ago. I wrote it 3 years ago and I published it at the beginning of 2024. A few months before I got married, which is why it has my married name on it instead of my maiden. And I left it on a cliffhanger because I was intended to go back and write book 2. It's not very long. And it's the only book I have ever published. I kind of regret publishing it because looking back, there's so much more I could have crammed into it and made it longer. But for a first book, a first attempt, you know, most authors usually flop on their first couple books, which is why I'm taking my time on the isekai one that I'm writing, which is not anything to do with this one. I started to work on the sequel to this one, and I haven't had the inspiration to go back. Maybe one day. But this one is done. At least the one in my hand is done. I want to recreate panel for panel the first chapter of this book. And look how pretty this is. See, it's got little art pages in it too. I'm just gonna read to you a small little scene that I think would look so good as an opening and a hook for a webtoon. And forgive me, I am better at writing and reading in my head than I am reading aloud. And I am a very big fan of the thesaurus. Which means I use big fancy words when I'm writing. But when I go to speak them, they do not sound as eloquent as the ink on the page. So forgive me in advance. As the sun sank low over the city's skyline, casting long shadows that painted the urban landscape in hues of orange and pink, a lone figure observed the bustling scene below from the window of a skyscraper on the 32nd floor. Unlike the tranquil serenity of a small town after dark, the city transformed into a vibrant, pulsating entity with the onset of night. The cacophony of sounds didn't dwindle. Instead, it morphed into a more purposeful symphony as the city transitioned from business to pleasure hours. Maxwell's gaze lingered on the lively cityscape, his apartment windows serving as a barrier between him and the crowds of people reveling in the night below. Despite the lack of any physical impediment, an invisible barrier seemed to hold him back. There was nothing to stop him from joining the masses. Yet there was nothing down there for him either. That is the opening chapter to my book. I can literally see the same scene that I saw in my mind's eye when I read it. And give me just a second. Where is that book? This book is what inspired me to write that book. So this is a writing prompts book. And let me see if I can't find, wish they had an index of all the writing prompts. There was a prompt in here that is what inspired me to write. Actually, I think it was that first one. Yeah, it was the first one. Okay, so this prompt: as the sun set over the harbor, the lights of the city came on one by one. I didn't really want to write about like a harbor, docks and stuff, so then I turned it into a city. And then from there it kind of became that. But I literally still have the exact scene in my mind's eye when I read that section that I did 3 years ago when I wrote the book. And even when I was writing it, I was itching to draw it. And like now that I know about all the arts tech that I can use to help me get a scene out, because I've never drawn a cityscape before to save my life. Closest thing I've done is D&D maps. I think there may be a castle in here somewhere. just not there. But I have never attempted to draw a cityscape. So in my head, I'm envisioning like the scene you would see if you were standing looking out the window inside an apartment at the top of a skyscraper as the sun's going down and all the lights are blinking and most of the sky is kind of like in between dark and still orangey, and you can see like cars and people and like neon lights for like nightclubs and stuff, and you can see all of this for miles. And in the panel in my head, I'm seeing all of that, but then I'm also seeing the male character's reflection like reflected back at him with the background of his like apartment reflecting behind him. And I think that would be such like to start, and you just see like as you're scrolling in the webtoon, you see like the city, and then you see the panel of like him looking out on the city with his like room behind him. It'd be a lot to draw. Don't get me wrong. It would be a crazy lot to draw. But I think it would be fun. And then to go from that to the rest of the crazy stuff that happens in the chapter, I think that would be a fun challenge. And I'm not saying that I plan on doing the entire book, because as short as it may be, that's still going to be a really long webtoon. Because this book, if I pull up the table of contents, and I made sure to include one, not including the about the author page, there is 25 chapters and is 131 pages long, which for a book, a novel, whatever, that's really short. But for an artist that's not used to drawing, that's an eternity. So yes, that is the new project I want to do. So, and let me switch my camera view. This is my computer. Yes, I like chill hop radio when I'm working. This is Pinterest. This is my 100-day challenge board. As you can see, Lord Voldemort, Frankenstein draws Disney princess, favorite dino drawn as pop star, 100-day challenge submissions, and then I have a section for extra inspirational art. We'll get to that in a second. And then these are my collages that I did. So my plan is to make a new section on this Pinterest board, because all of these are sections on the same board. And I'm going to attempt to do one webtoon chapter in a month. I know a lot of more experienced artists do the challenge in 24, 48 hours a week. I'm going to give myself a month because I am not more experienced. And I have the beautiful game called Sims 4 at my disposal. And I'm going to use it because why wouldn't I? My little stand is not very stable. So yeah, that is that part of my side quest. Is part of my 100-day draw daily challenge is for starting today, because I'm going to research my references and stuff today. I'm not going to draw today. So technically I'm breaking the draw daily challenge, but it's to do research. I am going to first, actually before I do any of that, I'm going to use this big sketch pad and sketch out not like detailed sketch. I'm gonna blot basically the scenes, the frames, where I want what. And I'm gonna use my book as a reference. Then I'm gonna go through Pinterest, any of the free digital library things where you can get copyright-free images. I'm gonna search that for cityscapes because that seems like a very good resource. And I've seen a lot of artists in their videos go to that as well. So that seems to be a very good one because you're taking actual scenes from actual cities and making them your own. And it's not like copying another artist's work. As excited as I am about using like Sims or one of these other programs, I do like the idea of using the copyright-free images first, just because it's not seen as stealing from another artist. So I want to try to do that as much as possible, but I also want to set up specific scenes and Sims to sketch out, because I have a few visions that I want to play around with and see how they would look before I sketch them. I'm a method actor, you know? So, moving on to the next side quest. Yesterday I streamed for like the first time in a while. And I say first time in a while, the last time I streamed was a few days ago when I was playing Stardew Valley. And it was fun. I got 2 more actually no, I got 2 more followers. Because before I streamed last night, I had 69 followers on Twitch, and I now have 71. So I am 29 followers away from my 100 follower goal, which is kind of motivating to keep streaming. Another reason I'm trying to get my art skills back up to where I want is so I can design the ultimate 2D VTube model for myself and rig and animate it and give it changeable accessories. Basically, I want to play dress up doll with my own VTube model. But that's like a later down the road thing. Speaking of which, I discovered something about Pinterest, which is clicked out of it. Okay, so I walked you through all of these, but I didn't open any of them. And I'm going to open this one. This one is all my extra inspiration stuff. But look at all these cute freaking outfits. I gotta say, my husband is so lucky I do not have a printer because, I mean, look at that. I would be printing all of this off, cutting it out, and then playing pretty dress up doll. And with like paper dolls. I mean, look at all of this like art inspiration, different hairstyles, different clothing styles, which a lot of this is for like female characters. But as you get further down, I did manage to save some male character stuff. Not nearly as much as female, which regrettably, there's not like nearly as much male character stuff as there is female, which is, I'm not gonna say disappointing, but it is disappointing. There's also like some other non-clothing, non-girly stuff mixed in here. But I mean, just look at all this stuff. I am like teetotally like inner child coming out, nerding out because of like how cute all of this stuff is. And to think somebody went and designed it and then like tossed it on Pinterest for someone like me to nerd out over and learn how to draw from. Like, I've been seriously sleeping on Pinterest because I did not know all of the options. So Sorry, I just really wanted to point that out because I had that thought yesterday and I was like, I am friends with a lot of people who have children, especially little girls. They could go through Pinterest, pick a few of those out, print them out, cut them, and then boom, their kid has like a paper doll to play dress up with, and it's like a cheap little toy. And it's like, memories! You could also inspire, excuse me. Sorry. You could also inspire another person to be an artist. As their little kid, they're looking at these and like, they're so cute. Put them together and they start sketching. Just saying. Side quest. I've already talked about, I kind of skipped ahead. Skip that. I'm down. I kind of went out of order of my list of side quests. But that's okay, because I only have one left, and I forgot to open Crunchyroll for it. So, I've been trying to, like, incorporate, like, some non-art, I say non-art, there's, like, art in it, related subjects into my blogs. Like, I talk about my baking, I talk about the various things going on in my life, I talked about video games, which is kind of sort of still art related, but it's like, I like to play video games, and I'm so looking forward to technically I'm looking forward to 3 video games, but 2 more so than the third one. Now, in order of them coming out, I'm looking forward to Crimson Desert, which comes out tomorrow. And it's ranked number 3 on my list. I think I talked about this in yesterday's blog post. And then July 10th, so 3 days after my birthday, the new SAO game, Echoes of Aincrad, comes out. I'm super excited about that one, but not as excited as I am about a game that is tentatively listed to come out this fall. It doesn't have a solid date yet, but a tentative one. The new Fable game! Okay, back on track. I'm gonna go over some anime titles that I think are worth watching and why. And I'm gonna leave it to you to be able to look them up, because I'm tired of picking up my phone and yeah. So the first one is a really, really sweet one. And it just started getting very dramatic on episode 10. But it's a very sweet and lighthearted one. It's called The Villainess is Adored by the Prince of the Neighbor Kingdom. It is so good, and it's technically another isekai, which I am a huge fan of isekais. I was starting to get burnt out on them, but some of the new ones that have started coming out have kind of drawn me back in because they're kind of refreshing. Like this one is very refreshing. The art style, the character's temperament, she's not very, I'm this badass, you know, she's very, oh, I'm gonna bake cookies and just try to stay out of everyone's way, but the story's still kind of going the way, you know, it kind of is expected, but like, the way it was written is very tasteful, and I like it. So then I come to, let me see if I can find it. I haven't watched it in a while. So this one is a really, really currently popular one. It's called Freyren, Beyond Journey's End. And with the exception of like one friend, almost everybody I know that has watched the show has raved about how good it is. Now, typical fantasy style shows, they're like a party of heroes. We're starting at the bottom. Oh, we've got a journey to defeat the Demon King or the Demon Lord or whatever. Freyren starts after the Demon Lord has already been defeated. And I absolutely love it because most of the stories don't show what happens after. You don't get to see like the progression of civilization after the hero. And Freyren's journey shows so much, and the way it's written and the art style, it literally scratches all the itches and all the right places. The only complaint I have really heard about it that it did not bother me at all, I thought it was fine, was somebody said that the beard of the dwarf was lazy drawing. The rest of the story is amazing. I don't care if the beard is lazy drawing. You know? I don't need to see the dude's mouth. We know it's there. We can hear his voice. Friend, if you're watching this, not making fun of you, I'm just storytelling, I guess. Don't be mad. Moving on, there is one other anime, which I don't know if it's getting a second season. I binged through this series, and I know there's more to the story because I went and looked up the manga for it, and there's a little bit more past the 12th episode. It is called The Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess. And it's literally all of the cliches of every romance trope thrown into an isekai. Except that isekai was written by the person who got thrown into the body of the villainess. I know, it's great. It's great. And she's constantly trying to thwart all the stuff that happens that she wrote. And she didn't write it recently. She wrote the story when she was a kid, like started writing it in middle school. You know, us middle school girls, like when I was in middle school, we wrote some crazy stuff. Fanfics were out there. And then we grew up and our writing either became more tame or more deranged, depending on what kind of writer you are. I like to think mine bounces back and forth. So going with that, she's constantly trying to thwart her past life's writing. And it never goes quite the way she wants. But it's hilarious. And if you ship characters, I definitely ship the butler. Just saying. While talking about this one, there was another one I thought of. And I have not watched it in a long while because I have been waiting for freaking ever for a season 2 of this one. It's called A Sign of Affection, and it is one of the few animes, and I went back and read ahead in the manga because there's more in the manga. But the manga doesn't do updates, but like once every couple months or something, which is why it's kind of frustrating. Because it's so good. This one actually showed, like, its main character is deaf. And it shows her using sign language. And how she interacts with the world. and the male lead shows a willingness to learn sign language to communicate with her. And there's just something so beautiful about that. And it takes place in a modern setting. No magic, no fantasy, no isekai, nothing like that. Which is normally not my taste, but a friend recommended it to me when I was starting to get burnout on isekais. And it is chef's kiss. 10 out of 10. I recommend all of the animes I just listed off. Well, I think that's all of my side quests as far as this blog goes. I do plan on trying to stream more video games, because I say that like all the time, but trying to motivate myself to actually hit the stream button when I'm already playing something, it's like an on-off switch. Like, I'm already playing something, I could just hit the button, but I don't. I do have some personal things, gotta go do some laundry, some dishes, that kind of thing. Fill out more job apps. I've already taken trash to the curb. I'm already recording my blog. So yeah. Sorry, I'm like very I get a little bouncy when I'm slightly sleep deprived. I did sleep last night. I just didn't sleep well because, like I said, I went to bed after watching those YouTube videos on Webtoons and using Sims, and I just, like, I could not get this idea out of my head until I either talked about it, drew it, did something with it. So that is going to be my next, I'm going to say 30 days. My next 30 days. I'm going to attempt to draw one chapter of my actual book as a webtoon chapter. And see how well I fare. And of course, I will blog it. I will show my progress. And fingers crossed, you can see me at the finish line. This is Venus Has Risen signing off, and I hope to see y'all on the Splashpad Discord server. Say hi!